What's good, everybody? What's going on, man? It's Stephen Qualls II, aka Mr. Qualified. It's your boy, and we're back with another episode of Qualified TV. Man, I'm excited for season 5, man. I'm gonna be excited every time y'all see me do this intro, so just get used to it. But man, got another amazing guest here. I'm gonna allow him to introduce himself, and then we just gonna jump right into this interview. So definitely, bro. Again, thank you and welcome, and let the people know who you are, a little bit about what you do, and then we'll hop right into it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Eichel Davis. I am the assistant AD of creative videography at University of Cincinnati Athletics. Been here for this is my third football season, so I've seen some of the best years this place has ever had. It's probably had the most exciting 3 year period of all time at this place, from going to college football playoff and seeing that incredible team, and going to Big 12 and going to Nike. It's just been one of the cooler experiences I think I'll ever have in my career. I've been creative my entire life. I started when I was younger, just like writing like little stories and drawing stick figures, and that led me to when I got to college at the University of Missouri, to really hone in on athletics, which is something that kind of surprised my family because I wouldn't say I was the biggest sports advocate when I was a kid. I didn't really enjoy playing sports much like my family did, but it really became a thing where I fell in love with the pageantry and just kind of the peopleness that sports brought to everybody. So while I was at Mizzou, worked with baseball all 4 years, and got a chance to work with football, basketball, women's basketball, etc. My last two, which gave me the opportunity to go to TCU right after college and be part of one of the best athletic programs ever. They've really that they helped me in so many ways, and I enjoyed Texas. Can't say enough about TCU and just how special that place is. I think the world is always aware of how special TCU is, especially right now after their incredible run last season. But yeah, just a great place, and had a phenomenal 3 years there before I decided to come to Cincinnati and create and lead the creative video program here, along with their photo and recruiting efforts. So it's been a wild couple of years. I've done a lot in my 5 years out of college, and we're still going. So
Man, that's awesome. No, thanks for that synopsis. That's definitely giving us a foundation of what we're gonna go through for sure. So we'll start back with, like you said in the beginning, just getting into creative writing and everything like that. So yeah, what was that like? Because I did a little bit. Well, it wasn't super early. It wasn't until high school for me, but I think that writing was my first kind of like creative outlet as well. So, just start there. And what exactly did you love writing about? What drew you to writing, and how do you feel like you kind of started growing or developing your creativity within that specific art form?
yeah, so I started writing. I was always kind of good at writing, but then I got really big into it. I was in high school. I went to Westminster in St. Louis, and I actually wrote a short story for a Bible project, and it ended up being something I really fell in love with, and that kind of spurred me writing my first, I wouldn't say full length novel, but a book that was more than 60, 70 pages. In that I feel like I could tell stories better than anyone that was around me. And that was where I really got into creativity, because I realized that I was creative, yes, and there were a lot of creative people, but I didn't really think that people could still tell stories the way that I could, and I knew that I had a natural gift for it. So I just kept writing, kept getting really good at it. I look back on the stuff I wrote then, it was like, wow, this was actually really, really bad. But it was all worth it. I look at stuff that I wrote later. In my set time in college, I'm like, oh, this actually is good. It's actually like it was really good. So yeah, it's been great. I owe everything I do now to starting from there, and starting writing. I think the reason that I'm so good at telling stories, that I did start from a written background before I got to video or graphics or photo. I started the most natural kind of elementary form of storytelling, which was writing.
Absolutely. So I did, of course, I had to try to do a little bit of research. I definitely want to know a little bit about what you
Yeah.
did. So I have to confirm this. Now, when I searched your name, I saw author somewhere. Have you
Yeah,
officially published? Like, are you a published author?
yeah. I've self-published I think 10 novels now. I think I would say that five of them are good and five of them are okay,
Okay.
okay to bad. But yeah, it's been great. I've self-published. You know, I started pretty early and I've gotten pretty good at. Actually, I got really good at Photoshop because when you self-publish, you gotta make your own covers.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've done that, and yeah, it's been awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. 10. First of all, I don't want this to go unnoticed as if this is a small feat. Having 10 published novels, good or bad. I don't care. I think that's a big feat. So we not just
Lots of
we not
pages.
yeah, we're not gonna scoop past that. Like you didn't
Pages.
just say 10 novels. But but no, that's what's up, man. That's amazing. I think writing for a lot of creatives is the foundation because no matter what form of writing that you're doing, whether the art form itself of writing or whether you're using your writing to plan out what you want to do, if it's another creative avenue, I do feel like writing is the base, for a lot of
For sure,
creativity.
for
So
sure.
that's major, man. That's major. Did that play any role in you deciding to go to Mizzou ultimately?
So actually, it's funny. When I went to Mizzou, I was atmospheric science major. I wanted to study weather, so I didn't really have anything that was really tied to writing. I knew Mizzou had the best journalism school in the country, no question, but I wasn't really looking at that avenue. But it did turn out to be a great choice for me, just because there was so much talent just in that place, and there's more talent there than there ever has been. And yeah, that definitely was the right decision before I even knew it was the right decision. So
Absolutely. So when so if you came in the science room, when did you make that official major change to journalism, or was it was digital storytelling, correct?
yeah, I decided to change the summer before my sophomore year. So freshman year, I was atmospheric science, did a little bit of journalism. Wasn't really sure if I was kind of in that like, do I want to switch? Do I not want to switch? I wanted to be, an atmospheric science major, a meteorology major since I was like in fourth grade. So it was like a lifelong thing for me. So to change was definitely something I wanted to take time to do. And my sophomore year, Mizzou debuted a new major that was digital storytelling, and it just sounded like exactly what I wanted to do. So I made the switch, and I was one of the first classes, I think, if not the first class, to graduate from that major at Mizzou, with a bunch of really cool people. So yeah, it really was just that big leap of faith. Like, you know what? I think this is where I really need to be. I need to use the skills that I have, and not try to do something that doesn't use my skills completely.
Absolutely. So I was a digital storytelling major as well. And it's funny because whenever you say, I don't know if you had the same experience, but whenever I would say digital storytelling, everybody's response was always, well, what is that exactly? And I
Right.
said, well, I'm learning by the day what it is. Honestly, truly, I
Yeah.
don't have a full-fledged sentence for you. But what would you say if you had a sentence or two? How have you come to define what digital storytelling is, like for yourself in your words?
Yeah, I think the easy way to explain it is storytelling and filmmaking for a digital Gen Z age. That's kind of the way that I always put it. I I don't know who's really running the program now, but when I was there, like Katina was the person, like
Mhm.
she was my person. Like I still talk to her all the time, and it's like having somebody who, like, I was in sports, but I was the only one that really wanted to do sports in that major. It made me
Mhm.
so much better because I was learning how to make movies. I wasn't learning how to make hype videos. I was learning how to make movies. And most people in my class wanted to do huge things like make documentary films and or change the world. And I just wanted to make sports hype videos. But it was incredible. But yeah, I really think it's the easy way to put it is filmmaking for a new era of film. Like the movie theater, it has its moments, but you can do so much more on social media, and through other platforms, and digital storytelling really taught you how to make films for this era of content consumption. So
Absolutely. And I definitely want to go a little bit more into that. I feel like our generation, we've had the ability to really truly see evolution in real time. We weren't really at the tail end of too much, and we're everything that is considered new in a sense. And obviously, there were there's always something new. But I feel like for a lot of things that have really changed the landscape of the world, like massive technological advances, we've seen a
Yeah,
lot more steps than most generations have. So from that perspective, especially as it relates to making content and understanding what's aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Now, understanding how do you get somebody's attention when you only have it for a minute, but you still want to
yeah.
give them this kind of like movie atmosphere and feeling when they're watching your content. How has that journey been like for you from a mental and creative standpoint of living through it? So how has that either helped or how has that been a detriment, if so, to your process, your mental approach to how you create and what you create?
Yeah, man. I mean, we're part of the first generation where content isn't gate kept. Like you don't have to be a big time, movie director. You don't have to have all this money to make dope content that gets a lot of views. And it's been really cool because it's opened the door for, a lot of people. I think you see it the most in music, just how artists can rise out of freaking nowhere and become, the Jack Harlows and the scissors of the world. But it's definitely like that in filmmaking, and it's definitely like that in videography, with platforms like TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, where people are posting whole movies on Twitter, or the OG that is YouTube. The short film life that has lived on YouTube is kind of insane. Um, it's been really really cool, to see it grow from just the haves and the haves and nots, and now we're all the haves, and it's been really really awesome to tell stories that probably wouldn't have gotten told. Like, if we're honest, some of the great stories that we've seen, get told probably wouldn't have gotten told if it was up to this big studio or Pete or corporate elites. I think about Matthew Cherry, who's made Hair Love, which is pretty popular, which is crazy how that's blown up. But
Right.
like, that was a self-funded, crowdsourced thing that wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. It's just cool to finally see the chains on content be broken, and it really is becoming content for everybody and by everybody. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, I think that's probably the most important thing, the idea that like content and how to make it like isn't gate kept anymore. Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing. And it's amazing some of the things we've seen be created, and some of the people we've been able to see take off simply because now they have an avenue to create what they want, put it out themselves, and let people decide, if they want to support, as opposed to needing some bigger machine or bigger company or whatever the case may be to put it in front of a lot of people. So yeah, I couldn't agree more with that aspect of it. Jumping back to Mizzou for a little bit. So when did that switch for you in terms of that interest for sports? I know you talked about being the only like digital storytelling major that kind of really had that true interest in sports. But when for you did that interest change from I want to be in atmospheric excuse me, science, to no, I really want to be in the sports realm. I really want to create these movies and create these moments in sports. And then how did that transition look in terms of everything that you got the chance to do at Mizzou and undergrad and beyond for whatever time that was?
yeah, it really did start the first semester of my freshman year. I had a lot of really good friends, who recognized how talented I was, maybe even before I did. And I was working with Mizzou baseball at the time, who, credit to Coach Jameson and all of those people for really letting me just do whatever the hell I wanted to do. The freedom of that allowed me to explore really how good I could be, and how well I could tell stories. And yeah, it really was that year. And I'll never forget, I was like studying for a U.S. history test, with one of my good friends, Liz, and I was telling her about stuff I was working on, and she's like, why are you not doing this? Like, why isn't this what you want to do? And I didn't have a good answer. I legitimately didn't have a good answer about why I wasn't doing it. So I decided then I was going to switch my major. Like, I didn't know what I was going to switch it to, but I decided that this was probably going to something that I needed to do. Um, and yeah, it kind of snowballed from there. And then by July of that next year, I had officially switched.
Awesome. Awesome. And so what were some of the projects that you got a chance to work on or create? I know you said you work with Mizzou baseball. Did you work with any other sports teams specifically, or was it mainly Mizzou baseball? And then what were just some of the things that you got the opportunity to do?
Yeah, I mean, for Mizzou baseball, I was the de facto creative director by the time I left there. I was working on every video. I was deciding what our brand was. I had created standards for our videos, and it really was the first time I was in a leadership position. I didn't know it was preparing me to be in more of those positions as I kept going. But then I also worked on specialty projects for baseball. I did a ton with basketball. I did a ton with women's basketball when Sophie was there, and we were just rolling.
Right.
And then I got out to touch a lot of other different sports too, but it was mainly baseball, football hype videos every week, the homecoming videos, which became way bigger than I ever expected them to be. I mean, I was at Mizzou last year, and some random Mizzou fan walked up to me and was like, "I still watch your homecoming video from 2016." And I was like, "Man, that's been forever ago, man. If you still
Right.
watch that thing, I mean, that's a dedicated fan of me, and I'm happy that there are people still out there that love what I did all those years ago, and it definitely keeps it in perspective that you make content for fans and people, not just for views or whatever. So
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's perfect, man. I think like one thing that I can say about Mizzou, just from my experience, I never had the opportunity to work on anything on that level, but Mizzou is an amazing place to get that type of experience and to have that opportunity to create those contents. I think it's always great when, especially at a university level or collegiate level, rather, when you get the opportunity to kind of decide and create things for yourself and they really give you that flexibility and freedom. I think that can go such a long way, especially at that time, when you're a young creative and you're really developing what you want your thing to be, whatever
yeah,
that aesthetic is, whatever that like vision is. When you're developing that, having that leeway to really try some things out, see what you like, see what you are, the best at creating. I think, whenever you have an opportunity to have that experience and to be in that position, you can only go up, from there. So that was the Mizzou experience. So speak about how TCU came about, and then just go into a little bit more depth about what you were able to do there and what that experience did for you.
TCU is, I think my job at TCU is a prime example of the power of social media, because I don't have that job without me having a robust Twitter presence.
Mm,
I physically got that job because of Twitter. I had, I went to the Alamo Bowl in 2017 with my buddy Reed, who was a massive TCU fan and was my roommate throughout college, and my buddy Salzy. And I reached out to TCU's like head of social about grabbing coffee while I was down there, because I knew that they were in the game. And he reached out. He was like, "Yeah, like for sure." We had coffee for about an hour, and then we really didn't talk for the next like 4 months. But then in May, he reached out. I was like, "Hey, do you want to come work at TCU? I love our conversation, and I think you would fit great here." And it's just kind of the happenstance of it all, that one interaction and the power of social media really got me that job. And TCU was just the greatest experience. Got to work with Learfield while I was there, and just learned so much about the business of sports, but also the business of creative,
mm,
and how to run a creative department effectively. Just surrounded by great people. My bosses Jay and Kyle helped me out in so many ways, and Caden and just everybody else that was there at that time period, really all collectively poured into me without even really trying. It was just like them being them. And I learned so much about leadership and so much about just being a creative and editing, that by the time I left TCU, I was like, yeah, like I'm a great leader, but I'm also just a superbly better creative than I was when I got there. So just a really impactful 3 years of my life. Um, Got to continue working with baseball there for 3 years. Won a championship with them. Had just phenomenal experiences with that team, and that's probably the team that I'm just over the moon that I got a chance to be a part of. That coaching staff, and just the staff of people that were in that program will always be my family. TCU baseball will always be my family. So just very happy to have had that experience, and couldn't have done what I've done at Cincinnati without TCU baseball in particular.
Absolutely. You mentioned the business of creative. Definitely go into more of that. I'm extremely interested in that because I mean, obviously there's a business side to everything, but I think one thing that I've noticed about being in the creative space is that because a lot of that creativity is so personal, because a lot of it is it's your own work. So even if you're doing work for another entity or somebody else, like that work still has your name on it. That's still your representation. That's still your stamp, if you will. So how was it learning and navigating the business side of the creative aspect, and what are some of the pros and cons that you feel like you kind of begin to understand about it?
Yeah, it's all balance. At the end of the day, gotta make money. college, college athletics is about money. You gotta make
Mm,
money. And learning how to use the skills of creative is so important to drive revenue. You know, people don't invest in things; they invest in stories, they invest in people, they invest in teams that they care about, and how you get them to care about it. You invest highly in your creative and your ability to tell the stories of your programs. Um, you know, it has been the old adage of just selling things just doesn't work anymore.
mm.
People have so many places to spend their money. And at the end of the day, college athletics is an entertainment business. It always will be. People, we are no different than a movie theater. We're no different than a concert. Like we're putting on a show. So how do you kind of take that mold? And it was hard. It was hard at first to be like, damn, like I'm not just doing this for fun. Like I gotta really think about that. But once you like get it, and once you start to really enjoy making money while doing what you love, it opened up in just an entirely different realm of what I wanted to do. And I think that's why I want to be an athletic director. I really think at TCU is where I got that joy, because I realized that at the core, I just want to help people. Like my mission in life, and the reason that God put me here is to make sure that I can help as many people as possible, and to make this place as best as possible while I'm here. And I realized that I could do that by being an athletic director, by telling great stories, and just being the best person I could be, while helping as many people as possible. And there's no better place to help people than a college campus, and there's no bigger platform on a college campus than college athletics. So,
Man, no, that's amazing. And we definitely gonna come back to that athletic director point. So
for
into that.
sure.
But man, okay, so you spend time at TCU. How does the opportunity at Cincinnati come about?
Quick. It was the shortest hiring process that I think I would ever be a part of. I got a call on a Friday, and I was hired on a Tuesday. So it was crazy. It was something that I didn't think I was interested in. Never thought I would live in Ohio. Like Ohio's just a more East Missouri, really. I still believe that they're the same place. Cincinnati and St. Louis are basically the same city. But yeah, I got here, and I met some great people. Talked to Dan, and then met Anthony, who has been two of the biggest influences on my career here, and really just really felt like this was it. Like I always said I wouldn't leave TCU unless I felt like I was going somewhere where I could be as impactful as possible, and also to be surrounded by good people. And Cincinnati was that place. It is that place. Found another home that I will call home forever. Um, and it was the quickest process. And again, Dan found me through Twitter. Like I got both my jobs through Twitter, and through social media. I just can't harp enough on the fact that like being you and also being you outwardly is so important in this industry, because there's so much noise. And how do you cut through and be like, oh, like that's the guy I want to hire? Like that, like of all the people that I see the thousands of people that you scroll through on Twitter every year, um, standing out from that is hard, but it is possible.
Man, that yeah, both yeah, that's crazy. Not only the quickness of the offer of getting interviewing and getting the offer, but just even for both of those jobs to be you being reached out to like through social media is, I mean, that's the world and that's the time that we're in
Yeah.
now. And I really love what you said in terms of like just outwardly being yourself, and that being extremely important as a creative, because ultimately like what you create is a representation of who you are. So that's what people see, and they want to get that when they're getting, your creative juices, your creative flow, whatever the case may be. So what is it all that you do at Cincinnati? Like, what does it all entail? And what's fun about it, man? Yeah, just yeah, give me everything as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, that's a really hard answer because I do a ton of stuff here. So at its core, I oversee our video department. I have started along with Spencer our photo department. I oversee recruiting creative here. I'm the DEI chair for our athletic program, so really involved in the diversity, equity, inclusion stuff that we do not only in athletics but on campus. And you're just kind of involved in a variety of ways from the admin level all the way down. And I think the most important thing I do is run our internship program for photo and video. We have the best interns in the country. Like, it's not even close. And I say that to everyone that I talk to, that like I have the best interns in the country. This freshman class that we just brought in is the best interns that we've ever brought in as a group, and they're going to change this place, man. It's going to be awesome to see. But yeah, it's been really cool because I've moved now from creator first to leader first, where it was always kind of creator first, leader second, and now it's leader first, creative second. And that's not to say that I'm still not the best at telling stories, and I still don't hone that skill, because I always tell people, like, every now and then you gotta drop something and just remind everybody that you're here and that this is who you are. But it's way more important for me, and it's almost just as fulfilling for me, is to see that my interns are doing well, and they're dropping pieces that are better than what I dropped, or they're doing things now like damn, I can see myself and my style in those interns. But yeah, that's kind of a synopsis of what I do: oversee video, oversee photo, and recruiting creative, and then run most of our internship program, along with a bunch of other kind of departmental things. ADs do it all, so trying to really be as involved as possible.
Man, absolutely. And that perfectly segues back into the athletic director aspect that I wanted to get back into. Man, that's the big dog when it comes to athletic departments. Like, that is the big dog, especially when you talk about on a collegiate level. So ultimately, what type of athletic director do you want to be? Because I'm in case you didn't realize, I'm already claiming it for you. I don't know when it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen very soon for you. But when you get that opportunity and you're able to be in that position, and what type of athletic director do you want to be? And like, even looking at everything that you're doing now, what is the impact and legacy that you want to leave when you have the opportunity to be in a position to not even just oversee, but just to kind of have the access and the
Yeah.
reach that comes with that position? And what do you want to leave behind when you're finally able to get yourself in that position and take on that opportunity?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I mentioned earlier that I don't love like the actual X and O's of sports. But one thing I do love about the X and O's of sports is I am super competitive. I am like uber competitive. I love winning, man. And it At one point I thought, I was like, oh, I'll just get high athletic department. I don't really need to be an AD. And then I was like, oh, that's just not my nature. Like, I really do feel like I want to be the best. Like, I tell our interns every day, we're going to be the best video department in the country. And whenever I become an AD, I'm going to tell every employee that I have, we're going to be the best athletic department in the country. We're going to be the best in sports. We're going to win national championships. But we're also going to be the best department that has the most fun. We're gonna party our absolute asses off while we're winning national titles, and we're gonna be just like good people. Like, I don't care how talented you are, you got to be a good person. And I feel like athletics gets away from that a lot. I think though sometimes the winning oversteps the nature of a person. And I think above all, we're in an age where like saying something matters, and I don't think enough ADs say something. And I get it. It's hard. There's donors. There's a bunch of people that are kind of hindering that power. And maybe it's not as easy as I think it is, or maybe it's as hard as I think it is, and I still want to do it. It is important to me that I always speak up on things that matter to me. especially when I'm in the highest chair. There's this thing, especially for people that look like us, that you always want to make sure that not only the door is open behind you, but that you can drag as many people with you through the door. And that's super important to me. I didn't grow up with a lot, like a lot of people, but and I'm here, and I'm here faster than a lot of people. Um, and it's not easy. It's taking a ton of sacrifice, and I think being AD is going to take way more sacrifice than even I even realized. But at the end of the day, it'll be worth it when I'm sitting in that chair and I'm able to bring light to issues and just help people and win a lot, but win a lot the right way and have a lot of fun doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I love that answer, man. And I think that especially when you add the component of, people who look like us, it's a huge deal because our voices matter in general, but when we're able to be in positions like that, and our voices are heightened in the sense of holding a bit more value in spaces that they may not, regularly, that's a huge deal. You spoke to sacrifices that you've already experienced and sacrifices that may come with potentially getting that position. And you spoke to it a little bit earlier, but you've had a lot of amazing opportunities and you've been able to gain a lot of amazing experience in a relatively short amount of time. Does it feel like it's moving fast? Do you feel like you're right on track? Like what is that feeling like kind of
Yeah,
as you realize that?
so I have a goal. I want to be an AD by the time I'm 35. That's been my goal since I was at Mizzou, or at least since I realized I really did want this, and that would put me as one of the youngest Power Five ADs of all time. And I know that's like one of the most lofty of lofty goals. Um, but I also feel like my career and the way it's going, it doesn't seem as lofty as it used to, because I do feel like, and part of that's just because I've had so many opportunities to excel and grow at Cincinnati, but I feel like I'm on a rocket career wise every day. I really feel like, I'm 27, I'm assistant AD already. I already have AD in my title. I'm overseeing all these people. I am primed for a next step. Before I turn 28, and it's like I feel very comfortable saying publicly that I want to be an AD until I'm 35. Like that's 8 years. That's so much time. And I think about what I've done in the 5 years after that of college, and think about in 5 more years plus 3 more years. Man, I really think that I am surrounded by the right people. I have the right friends. I have the right family to do exactly what I want to do, because I just have the right support system.
Absolutely, man. I mean, lofty goal or not, I think you brought up an amazing point that I think the more that you start to do and the more you start to gain experience in what you love doing and what you're passionate about, goals that feel lofty and goals that feel very far, you start to realize that it's never really as far away as you think. It's really just a matter of how patient can you be along your journey, and then also how like are you willing to take the journey to get there, because it won't be overnight. No matter how quick it is, in retrospect, it's never going to be an overnight thing. So yeah, man, a lot of gems, a lot of gems you dropping for sure. um what would you say is your favorite thing about being a creative in general?
I think just how my mind works. Like everything in the world to me is a story. Like
Mm,
I wake up some mornings and I listen to a song and I see an entire video play in my head, or I'm walking down the street and I see something. I'm like, oh, like that triggers the story about what if I could tell this, or what if I can make that project. And I know that some people's minds aren't like that. Like it's very rare to have a mind where everything in the world just inspires you to create.
mm.
And I think that's going to make me a really cool boss. I think it does make a really cool boss. It's going to make a really cool AD to just think about things where the entire world is literally always inspiring you. So
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's I can definitely relate to that. And it is different because not everybody's mind just doesn't work the same. And some people just don't see stories. They don't hear music and see stories. They don't hear a story and visualize what it looks like or visualize how it can resonate and how, we want it to resonate and how we would tell it if it was our story to tell. So I definitely understand that. Yeah, that's major, man. No, I can really relate to that. That's what's up. That's dope. Um, Man, I'm trying to think. There's so many. Yeah, no, there's so many different ways. I could go. There's so many different questions that I have. But no, ultimately, what is your I didn't necessarily want to ask it in this way, but it's like, what is your philosophy? Like, somewhat in respect to
Yeah.
creativity, but really more so as it relates to just how you operate and navigate and live life, in general. What would you say is your philosophy in regards to how you maintain a balance, how you maintain confidence in yourself, how you also keep yourself humble? Like, just what's your overall philosophy about how you operate and keeping yourself centered and grounded?
Yeah, it's a pretty easy question for me to answer. It boils down to three words, and it's story, family, and culture. Those three things are everywhere in my office. They're everywhere, and every time I talk to my interns, at the core of it, we're all here about telling stories, but we're also here to build a family, and not just a family of like, oh, we're trying to show our fan base and our student athletes, but like a literal family with us. That's super important, and then culture is the most important word in my life. I just love the word culture because I think it bridges those two better than anything else. Like family and story make culture. Like they legitimately can build culture for not only your athletic department but for like student athletes and prospective fans and prospective students. But also just like the people that you're around and the people that you lead. Um, I am so proud that we have, I think, one of the best cultures ever. And when it comes to the group that I manage, we have three phrases. One is that one. One is chase greatness, not perfection. Because if you chase perfection, you'll never complete anything. And then two is just work hard, play harder. And I talked about that before. It's like we're gonna work hard. We're gonna be the hardest working program in the country because we want to be the best. But we're gonna play equally, if not more, because at the end of the day, it's sports, man. Like it's not life or death. You should have just so much fun like working in sports.
Absolutely. No, I love that. Story family culture is that's amazing. That's really amazing. That really kind of pulls it all together for sure. That for people that know or are familiar with or are in love with the sports world, I think those three words are really the glue of any team, whether you're talking about a sports team or a creative team. So absolutely agree on that front, man. Man, you dropped a lot of gems. You talked about a lot. You went through a lot of experiences, man. I don't even want to call it climbing rank, but you're on this ascension that is very inspirational and very admirable, and not just because it's something that other people may like aspire to have, but I think just understanding that even the way you've been able to have the opportunity to be in the positions that you've been in, allowing your work to speak for itself, and you're currently on this trajectory of what you set out to do since you graduated. Through everything that you've experienced, through trials and tribulations, up and downs, you're still on this path. And now a goal that felt lofty at once doesn't feel so lofty anymore. So within everything that you talked about, everything you've discussed, everything that you spoke to or referenced, what would you say makes you qualified as a creative, as a leader, and as a director, and that you can group that all into one? I just want all those three things to be referenced, or at least alluded to in the answer, if you could.
Yeah, I think they all go through the same thing. It all goes back to my love of people. Like I'm just a people first person. Like I am a great creative because I love people and their stories. I'm a great leader because I love people and their stories. And I'll be a great director because I love people and their stories. Like it all goes back to that. You cannot lead people if you don't care, like genuinely care about their stories and having empathy. Like I think empathy is the biggest word that I can throw out today, because when you have empathy, it makes it so much easier for you to put yourself in people's shoes, and it makes you better to lead those people, but it also makes you better to just be a creative and tell their stories. And when it comes to being an AD, there's gonna be a lot of people that I oversee that have hard stories. Like there's gonna be a lot of hard stories, and if I don't have the appropriate amount of empathy, if I'm not overflowing that well with empathy, then I'm going to fail at my job. It's just that simple. So My love of people and just being empathetic, those two words, and the fact that I have so much of those things, makes all three of those just easier for me.
Man, absolutely. No, that's amazing, bro. I can't even. I know I've said that multiple times, but can't speak to it enough, man. But man, that's all I have for you, man. I just want to thank you again for taking the time to sit down with me, talk about your
Sure.
journey, talk about everything that you've been through. Speak to anything that you can, in regards to projects that are coming up or anything that you want people to be on the lookout for, and then also just drop any socials that you want anybody that's watching to just follow, or what they can follow to stay in touch with you or the work that you have going on at Cincinnati as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're cruising. We made 1,200 videos last year, which is insane. But we're already on pace to make more. We want to be the best video department in the country. We are already a top five video department in the country. I will die on that hill. But in top five is the number one, and that's
Mm,
where we want to be. And I retweet the best of our stuff. I try to praise as many of our interns as possible because they're the future of all of this. And man, if they're the future, then we're set. So you can follow me on everything. It's Eichel G Davis on every platform. I make sure to have the same handle. But yeah, man, just excited to do this, and humble to be offered the opportunity to talk about not only my journey but the people who have made my journey possible. So it's been awesome.
absolutely, absolutely, man. Yeah, yeah. Thank you again, and I'm glad that you're honored, man. I just want to be able to use my platform to tell these stories. So if there's somebody out there in the creative field that's trying to figure out what they're trying to do, or which journey they're trying to take, or where to start their journey, I just want people to know that there are different type of stories out there, and there are people that are there's more than likely somebody doing exactly what you want to do or close enough, and you may just not have met that person yet, or you may just have not heard how somebody navigated it yet. But once you hear it, you may figure out how to be able to do that for yourself. So I definitely hope that somebody's able to take that away from our conversation today, man. If you didn't take anything away from this conversation, then I don't know what to tell you at this point. You know what I'm saying? But man, I'll say it a million times. Thank you again, and thank you all for watching and taking the time to watch. And until next week in the next episode, I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.